Hello, and welcome to another Unprofessional Unboxing. Scott here, and today I have something that is probably considered by many to be, I don't know, a collector's item. If what I think is in here is what's in here. So when it comes to things like tabletop RPGs and my enthusiasm with them, my love to play, my love to run, and just indulge in the creators and the artists and the general community within gaming itself. Um, all of these are wonderful monikers to hold. But I think if there was one thing that I would probably tag myself first and foremost, as do quite a few other people that I know, um, if you had to boil it down, I think what would rise to the top would be collector. Um, a collector of games. Some might call it, well, I'm not really a historian of games because I do have quite a bit that I do not know the exact history, but I love delving into that kind of thing. I love finding out where the games come from, the history of them, the people involved in them, and where they've been, and likewise where they are going. Um, I've had a couple, I've had a few collector's items on here, and I do maintain a certain presence, hovering around the corners of eBay and other areas, looking for anything that catches my eye. Well, sorry, I live near an airport, so, well, not an airport, but a private airport, so we get small plane traffic every once in a while. Don't know if the mic picked that up, but, hopefully it wasn't too distracting. Anyways, so yes, I've presented a couple things on here that I've considered collector's items and have gotten a pretty good price for it. Uh, I don't really have a holy grail, so to speak, but there are certain things that if they creep up and they're affordable, I definitely give them a good go. eBay is a tricky thing to deal with, as is other auction type sites. And a lot of the times, the rug will be pulled out from underneath you just when you think you have it. But this is kind of one of those things that was part of a trilogy of grimoires that fell in my lap on eBay, and for a long time they sat dormant. And like most things, when it gets to the last couple hours, certain people discover them, and the bidding war begins. And likewise, the shady nonsense of, well, I don't not consider it shady. It's just bullshit when it happens to you. Of the rug being pulled out from underneath you last minute, and you're out something that would have been a great deal or something that you really wanted. But this one did not fall prey to those sniping situations. So I'm rambling on here a bit, but let's go ahead and open this thing up. Have my trusty Coleman steak knife here. Hopefully no injuries today. And this one was shipped within the United States. So we have a nice protective bag around it. It's nice when people do take a bit of care. I may be a bit crazy whenever I send something out with my packaging, but just because I like things to show up the best possible way. I don't know if I'm going to want to do that. Maybe here. Go. And see if I can slide it out from here. There we go. Yes, that's good. All right, and time for the reveal. There we are. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick look at the invoice here just to make sure it doesn't show my address, which it does. It was a pain in the butt to blur that out last time, even though, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if anyone that would want to do anything with my address, but the more time I spend online, the larger my enemy list increases. Anyways, welcome to Skull Tower. This is the Arduin Grimoire Vol II by Dave Hargrave. What is this, you say? Well, I'm sure a lot of you know what this is. There's been a lot of videos by people a lot more knowledgeable than I am about this, and there's probably people that will continue to make videos about this. I haven't done any research into this particular volume itself, other than just having general knowledge of what the Arduin Grimoire was, a bit of history about Dave Hargrave, and his rambunctious relationship within the early days of Dungeons and Dragons, and his legacy that was left behind. If you want to see a wonderful breakdown and take on Dave Hargrave and the Arduin Grimoire, check out Polly Kid's review. She does a fantastic job on this. And in fact, the volume one, there was two different versions, one with two different covers, so to speak, and maybe a bit of changes in there. Once again, I'm not prepared to give any definite history or background on this, but so these four books were up on eBay, and like so many things that you find a good deal on, it's being presented by someone who probably isn't within the gaming world. They opened up Grandpa's old boxes. Uncle Steve might have passed away or bequeathed some stuff to people. They don't care what this is. They just want to sell it and make a quick buck. General idea of what these things are worth. So all four of them were up and extremely inexpensive in their initial bidding price. And like so many things, once I discovered them and put in that low initial bid, I could tell that there were 6 days left, maybe 5, of the bidding. And that's when the anxious waiting begins, because your hope is, sure, I would like to get every bit of the original 3 grimoires of the Arduin Grimoire for $30 total, considering that some of these in excellent condition sell for well over $100 or more, depending on their condition and whatnot. This one was noted as having a bit of a coffee stain on the cover, as you can see here, which was nice to note. There was wonderful pictures and whatnot. And likewise, my biggest concern when I see books such as this, presented for cheap, whether it be in eBay or RPG auctions on Facebook or anywhere for that matter, is, are they a reproduction? Because to be perfectly honest, something such as this, with the technology we have today, can be readily reproduced and easily reproduced, I should say, and made readily available online for a somewhat inflated price, and people can make a quick buck on this. Because the way these particular things were constructed were no more different than a lot of your standard zines that you're getting in the mail today. But that doesn't seem to be the case on the onset with this one. But it's always a concern when you're looking at things like this. Online today, a lot of the big things that's going on is a lot of the old school D&D modules are being purchased at a discounted rate as a reprint through DM's Guild or Drive-Thru-RPG, and precariously misrepresented as the original item and sold with those prices on eBay. It's disgusting. I can't stand it. If I ever see it, I try to point it out. But it is what it is. It's things like that are always going to be here, and they're never going to change no matter how hard you try. You just do your best to avoid it and try not to get taken. So, welcome to Skull Tower, the Arduin Grimoire Vol II by Dave Hargrave. This is the first time that I've ever looked within something such as this, so I couldn't tell you exactly what is inside of here. My knowledge has been provided to me by friends and other sources such as Polly Kid's review, but it's one of the things that I've been wanting to get a hold of for quite some time, just because of the history behind it, just because of the changes in the path of D&D that occurred due to Hargrave's publishing of his books, of his ideas and changes and methods towards D&D, and come to find out that a lot of these things were probably appropriated by TSR later on, and I would imagine that Dave may not have been given his proper due, but those are the way things go. So we've got a dedication here from Dave A. Hargrave, aka Elric, Baron and Lord of the House of the Dragon Tower. Excellent. That's how I want to sign my emails from now on. We've got a text copyright, David A. Hargrave, 1978. There is a pen notation up here in the top right of MHB. So there's a little bit of yellowing on the pages, on the corners. MHB on every one. I really don't know if that's due to if that was something in the book itself, or if that was due to the person who owned it. So please note the table of contents is in the back of the book, and just a quick reading on what this forward says. So this volume of the grimoire is a mixed bag of magic and rules interpretations, fine art and mystic artifacts, and just a small bit of madness. Excellent introduction. I love that. Excuse me, I'm running a bit dry. There we go. It is the result of a year's hard labor and a work that will complement Volume 1 very nicely. This volume was to be the last, and if indeed is that, then you and readers will know that you have all the information you'll ever need in this book and the first. We know that not to be the case. If, however, public demand requires that a third volume will be penned, well, you can be rest assured that I will fill it with things undreamed of and most wondrous to behold. I can draw from over 1,000 spells, over 300 monsters, and over 1,000 magical artifacts and weapons, and much, much more. So whatever happens, rest assured that I will be around for years to come with, if not another volume of the grimoire, then several new games that I already have on the drawing board. More card sets, and perhaps a fantasy novel or two. That you've been in a appreciative public, and many of you have been pen pals and friends. That's thanks for it all. David A. Hargrave, and I imagine that the A stands for an enormous set of brass balls. Wow, that is quite the proclamation that we have here. So all the beautiful art in this book is the work of Brad Schenck, aka Morno, I think is what it says. Notorious, this book is typewritten by hand back in the 70s, so there are typewriter mistakes within here. This is one artist you'll be hearing from in the future for now. Thanks, Brad. Except for a couple of late entries by our original artist, Errol Otis. Another little bit of history. I believe this was one of Errol Otis's first forays into doing artwork for RPGs before moving into TSR. Might have been a lateral, might have been at the same time. Not entirely sure, but that's something that you can look up, and likewise I will too. So it's what it is. This particular, at least this one, is a supplement, and a variety of charts. You can just kind of see in the beginning, character classes, things to supplement your original D&D game back in the day. Things that Hargrave felt were missing, changes upon rules that he thought were needed, and, if I'm not mistaken, removal of rules that he thought were a detriment to your game. And martial artists. So new character type outlaw, new character type courtesan, new character type slavers, and we continue on. Wow, is that a courtesan? Huh. Well, this will be an interesting date. And character resurrection chart. Okay, so as you can see, several character types, far more than what was provided in original Dungeons and Dragons. And we continue on. Critical hit table for non-weapon caused wounds. So augmentations of a set of very basic and probably considered by most to be somewhat confusing, as this was the onset of tabletop role-playing games with original Dungeons and Dragons, and people were doing this all the time. People were creating their own rules from day one. As soon as they got a hold of this, people immediately saw through the veil, saw weak links in the chain, and started doing their own thing. And several people would supplement and try to publish their rules such as this before TSR started bringing the clamp down and the lawyers with them. Coffee stain here. So I mean, yeah, it's in good shape. I mean, other than the coffee stain, which it's something that just these things happen. I recently picked up this book. I'm just going to bring this in. The Complete Sonics Handbook. I'm going to be running second edition Dark Sun for my son and his friends, hopefully sometime around the holiday. And this book is necessary. So this was something that I got ridiculously inexpensive on eBay. But when it arrived, I wish I had smell-o-vision, and it still stinks. It smells like a smoker. I mean, I can't even open it yet. I need to stick this in some sort of a deodorizer to be able to actually use it. But it's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. I know I can get rid of the smell because it's a used old book, and I can deal with that. Welcome to Skull Tower. This is a bit of history here. It's okay to have it, with coffee stains on it. It's been used. It's definitely usable. I can read this, but more importantly, this was not something that sat in a cellophane bag for almost 50 years. It was utilized by somebody, at least to the point of reading that they that they sneezed coffee all over it. But I mean, that's I've seen things in worse shape that I've picked up that that in my collection or in my library. So signposts, dungeon signposts, to utilize within here. I feel like this might be dragging a bit long, but I guess in conclusion of this, as I stated, there's a little line on there. I do consider myself to, I guess, be an amateur collector. I don't have an extensive library. I don't have a lot of, really expensive collector's items in my library. But what I have are items that, that are a piece of RPG history, things that are near and dear to me, and things that, in addition to that, things that I didn't experience back in the day. I'm not part of the original crew when D&D first came out, but well into the 1.5 second generation of people who discovered it in the 80s, but a lot of things just weren't readily available for a young kid in Southern California. There's a world of games that was rolling around, the Europe and the UK and parts of the United States that I would have never seen. Even though something like this would have been local to California, at least in my area in California, we never saw something like this. But going to dive into this, going to take a look at it. I know a lot of people to this day continue to utilize things from the Arduin Grimoire in versions other than D&D. Which is fantastic. I want to see if there's some things in here that it's going to provide its outlook and wisdom on to me. I may find something in here that I love that no one else has utilized. But so anyways, a little bit pissed that I wasn't able to get the first and the third one due to typical eBay sniping at the end, but very happy to have the second book, and I will keep my eye on deals as they occur for the other volumes as they rear their heads out into the public eye again. But looking forward to taking this slice of history here and spending some time with it, and maybe give some opinions on it sometime later. So this has definitely run longer than expected for a little bit of an unboxing, but I thank you for sticking through this with me. And I look forward to speaking with you or, doing another unboxing with you next time soon. I've got several things that have kind of stacked up here. So there'll be more things to come. And also, if you get a moment, check out my new podcast, Titterpigs. I know I've mentioned it on the last video. I'm not going to do another video for this, but just search Titterpigs. Titterpigs, Tabletop RPG Podcast. You'll find it. If I remember, I'll throw a link down in the description. But this has been another completely unprofessional and very rambly unboxing. Have a nice day.